In this video, I'm going to be going over how to load a rack and adjust printhead height, as well as load your tubes onto the rack. So the first thing you'll need to do is grab your rack. Right now I'm going to be using our PT1500 MC rack, which is for 1.5 to 2 ml microcentrifuge tubes, specifically for labeling the caps. If you look at the rack itself, you've got some numbers on the side that show you what slot each tube will go into and what number that correlates with. On the side, you'll also have a label that states the name of the rack. And then on the back, you'll notice you've got a longer oval hole right here and a smaller circle hole right here. These holes are going to line up with the stage. There's two metal pins that both of these holes are going to slip onto. You'll always want to make sure you've got that smaller hole on the left side. So I'll go ahead and line that up. Make sure it's seated firmly on the stage itself. You can load the tubes onto the rack while the rack is already on the stage, or you can load the tubes into the rack prior to putting it on the stage. For this example, I'll do it prior to putting it on. So I'll grab some microcentrifuge tubes right here, and I will take them and insert them into each slot. There's really no rhyme or reason when it comes to putting the tubes onto this cap printing rack, as they'll fit in nicely. They don't all have to be pointed the same way, but you'll insert those in, and then we'll go back and put it on the stage. So like I said earlier, line up those holes with the smaller hole on the left side. Make sure it's seated firmly on the stage. From there, you're going to take this knob right here at the top. This is how you lower and raise the printhead. We'll want to lower the printhead to be as close to the tubes as we can get without actually touching. A good rule of thumb is about 2 millimeters away. I personally just look at the tubes in the bottom of the printhead and make sure that they're not touching. But we do have a ruler right here that you can use as a scale to know where you should set the printhead height. When you think you've got it close enough, I always like to take the knobs on the front and move the stage left and right to make sure that I'm not going to be hitting any of the tubes when the stage passes under. If you do run into an issue where you hit the printhead while the stage is passing under, you can quickly just press that button in to stop the stage, or hit that emergency stop button to shut the whole system down. So now that we're as close as we can get to these tubes without actually touching, I would close up the machine and go back to my computer to initiate a print. I'll also show you how it would look for a side printing rack. So here's an example of a side printing rack. This is the PS1800 CV. This is made for 1.8 to 2 ml cryo vials. Same thing, you've got the numbers on the side of the rack correlating to each slot, as well as those two holes on the back. Remember, the smaller hole will go on the left side of the stage all the time. So I will grab my cryo vials right now, and I will put them in the rack. With side printing racks, I'll make sure that I left justify the tubes by pushing them as far left as possible in each slot. What this does is it helps prevent the tubes from shifting left and right while the stage moves during a printing process. Now that I've done that, I'll go ahead and load it onto the stage, making sure it's seated firmly. And then I'll use those knobs on the front to move the stage and tubes directly under that printhead. And then I'll use that knob on the top to lower the printhead to be as close as possible to the tubes without actually touching. You can also use that scale right here like I mentioned earlier. And then finally, I'll use the knobs again to run the stage left and right under the printhead to make sure I'm not hitting the printhead as it passes through. With side printing, there are some tubes with caps that are higher than the actual base of the tube, so you'll want to make sure you've got that printhead high enough to clear the highest part of the tube. And from there, you've got your rack loaded. Good to go. We'll close up the system, and then I could move back to the computer and initiate that print process. If after printing you look at the tubes and you see that your prints are fuzzy or messy, you'll want to make sure that you've lowered the printhead to be as close to the tubes without touching when the stage passes underneath the printhead. Each time you're switching between racks, you'll want to make sure that you remember to adjust the printhead, because different racks are different sizes, and depending on what tube you're printing on, you might need to raise or lower the printhead to be as close as possible. And that's how you load a rack onto the stage, load your tubes, and adjust the printhead height.